Hello, I'm Aaron Matus with D1 Ticker, here with another D1 Extra. And today, thrilled to be joined by Kyle Rowland and David Briggs of the Toledo Blade. You guys just wrote an article that grabbed our attention a few days ago. And part of what grabbed our attention is the fact that there is going to be an upcoming athletic director search at Toledo. And it could be interesting because of what you guys found. And I want to turn it over to you guys. So if you could tell us a little bit quickly, just summarize what's going on there. And sounds like there is a little bit of division between some of the major parties at Toledo.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having us. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's clearly two factions in the university community, and it centers around the leadership of the athletic department. Michael Bryan's been the athletic director at Toledo for 19 years. I think most people would agree that he's done a good job to an extent. He certainly has support. Certainly, the point of the story is that there are division on how good of a job he's done. But you look at things like he's improved the academic culture. He's improved the facilities. He's generally hired pretty good coaches. He's made a few football coaching hires: Matt Campbell, Tim Beckman, Jason Candle. Has hired Tod Kowalczyk as men's basketball coach, Tricia Culp, and women's basketball. Those are kind of the marquee hires, and all have gotten the job done to varying extents. So you look at the bigger picture, there's general culture of success in the athletic department. On the other side, there are people who will point to the fact that Toledo has a kind of a stunning shortage of championships for all that regular season success. People point out all the time, men's basketball has not been to the NCAA tournament since 1980. Football, for all they invest in it, they spend more than any other team in the MAC, have great fan support, great facilities, only one MAC championship since 2004. I think despite having the best record in the leagues over the last 11 years, or it might be second best, but I believe it's the best. And then you just kind of look at there's a separate faction that's small and secretive, led by what sources tell us is the chairman of the board, who just kind of wants to raise the bar of expectations and wants new blood in there. Where people are upset is there's really been no transparency in why Michael Bryan, the AD, was forced out, and just kind of people find it hard to believe that public officials are just kind of shirking these questions and kind of leaving this infighting to go on. And I don't know. Sorry, I'm rambling on there, but there's just two factions kind of going head to head here. One believing the athletic department represents the university well and believe they have a very good leader. Another that thinks there's change and isn't explaining themselves.
Yeah, no, not rambling at all. It's a complicated issue, especially when you've got major parties kind of arguing back and forth a little bit here, maybe not back and forth, which is a problem with the transparency, as you mentioned. So what I want to ask is, through all of this, it's quite clear, obviously, that Toledo is going to have an athletic director search. And maybe if new blood is needed, the new guy, or wanted, I should say, the new guy has a clean slate to start with, and there won't be an issue. But I wonder, given what you guys have reported and uncovered, can that negatively impact the search at all, in your opinion?
Yeah, I'll take that. I mean, for sure, definitely. I mean, I don't think dysfunction and rancor, or however you want to describe it, helps. So I would assume this situation will probably be discussed by candidates. I'm sure it will create some questions. I don't know if some of the questions will be about relationships with the stakeholders at Toledo, and also maybe about what the expectations are for the job. I don't know, perhaps it does scare some people off, but the thing I always say about these types of jobs, when maybe there's a messy ending and people are like, oh, like, why is someone going to want that job now? Well, it takes one person. Like, there's only so many Division I athletic director jobs, and someone's going to want that job. So I don't really know how much it truly limits the pool, but I think it certainly kind of impacts what happens going forward.
David, did you want to touch on that one at all, just how it might impact the search?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Kyle touched on it. I think there will certainly be questions of how much meddling there will be by the by the board. I know Al Baker, the chairman of the board, who we're told orchestrated all this, is on the search committee. You probably would be more familiar with this than us. I don't know how common it is for the board chair to be leading the athletic director search, because normally you would think that the president works for the board and you're going to have some more independence in those search committees. But I think there are real questions for the athletic director of how much of a puppet you're going to be of the board. I think there will be questions to ask, but like Kyle said, it's still a very attractive job, one of the best jobs in the MAC, if not the best, and so which makes it one of the better mid-major jobs.
One of the questions. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to add on the subject of new blood and getting someone new. I mean, I don't think that is a bad thing. I think this situation shouldn't have occurred in the way it is. But I mean, there's a reason ADs aren't at the same school for 20 years. I mean, it's a rare thing. It's always nice to have different thoughts, and maybe there's complacency, whatever. So, I mean, I don't think that it is an overall negative that they are making a change.
What about the situation with the head basketball coach? You guys wrote in the article that Tod Kowalczyk, after a MAC championship, was set to sign an extension, and then that was kind of squashed at the 11th hour. So is this new athletic director hiring a new basketball coach anytime soon? And what's the relationship there like right now, given some pretty good success over there? I think he's a 200 game winner and had quite a turnaround from year one to winning a championship last year even.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's an interesting situation. I mean, Tod Kowalczyk, again, like the football program, a ton of regular season success. I think since 2013, his record, Tod Kowalczyk's record in the MAC is, second only to Buffalo, and only by a few games. So a ton of success, runs a very good program. He's active in the community. People generally like Kowalczyk. So, in pretty much every measure, but getting to the NCAA tournament, he's doing an A+ job. Obviously, there's a big faction in the community as well, and I would assume on the board leadership that looks at the NCAA tournament, and certainly I've been a big critic of that too. I mean, for mid-major schools, getting to the NCAA tournament is what it's all about. I mean, that's what makes a school feel truly big time for a moment and galvanizes the community. You can't underestimate that. You can have all the regular season success in the world, and at the end of the day, you got to get to the tournament. So I understand that. So it will be interesting. I mean, when the new athletic director comes in, next spring, Kowalczyk will have, I believe, 2 years remaining on his deal. He was set to sign an extension last spring. I believe that was taken off the table after they lost in the MAC tournament, which extended their NCAA tournament drought and just kind of caused just a shroud of in the moment negativity. We're all guilty of it, not guilty. I mean, it's right, but. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I think if they have another good season, I think he will be extended. But if you don't get to the NCAA tournament, eventually, it might come to a head if people did want new blood.
I think the Kowalczyk situation is kind of the most stunning of all this, honestly, just because, I mean, it's unheard of to have a contract drawn up, signed by two of the three parties, and then pulled off the table. I mean, it's obviously a huge communication snafu, whatever. So I don't know. That's a tough situation. I'm sure there are some very hurt feelings on the side of Tod. But I mean, as Dave covered, I mean, he's done basically everything you could except go to the NCAA tournament. And I understand, why some people are frustrated with that. I mean, that is the end all be all when you're a mid-major program. It's cannot be understated how much that means to a community, a university. When you get to the tournament, it is huge all the way around. And I mean, you see a lot of these schools that can spur kind of the academic success of schools, and you boost enrollment and applications and all that kind of stuff. And that was a little, small part of the story, is that the academics at Toledo are sagging while they have this, I don't know if you want to call it win at all costs or whatever, but they obviously have huge expectations for the athletic department. And it's like, well, why don't you have that for the same side on academics?
Wanted to touch base on something that goes deeper than the athletic director office then. And Kyle, you kind of mentioned one guy could change everything. Maybe President Postal and the board gets their guy and some of this rift magically disappears. But will this new athletic director face a culture challenge coming in? Does this go deeper now because it's become public than just the AD office?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely possible. I mean, time heals all wounds. I think that's not just a cliche, it's a true statement. So I guess you see what happens as time passes, but there's obviously a huge, segment of the population in town, the university community that supports Mike O'Brien. There are people inside the athletic department that, if you want to call them loyalists or whatever, I mean, they are loyal to him. And I mean, he's been their only boss for a lot of these people. So I think it definitely creates maybe a complicated situation when the new athletic director gets in there.
Well, great coverage, guys. We will be obviously following along here at D1 Ticker whenever there's an AD search. It's of high interest here, and we look forward to seeing your guys' coverage as the search goes on, as they will be potentially looking for a new AD at Toledo next April. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.